Welcome to our channel where we bring you the best quotes from the brightest minds throughout history. Today, we'll be looking at the life and times of one such brilliant individual. But before we begin, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on our latest videos. Now let's meet the star of today's show. Born in 1800, Jane Rule was an English novelist, poet and translator whose works often explored themes of love, death, and the natural world. She is considered to be part of the Romantic generation of English poets, alongside the likes of William Wordsworth, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, and Lord Byron. Throughout her career, she published 5 novels, 2 volumes of poetry, and several essays and reviews. Despite her literary achievements, Rule's work was often overshadowed by her personal life, particularly her relationships with other female writers and intellectuals, which was scandalous for the time period. Nevertheless, she left an indelible mark on English literature, and her work continues to be studied and celebrated today. Rule was born in 1800 in the village of Hollingworth, Lancashire, England. From an early age, she displayed a passion for literature and wrote poetry and stories for her own amusement. In 1820, she began attending a boarding school in a nearby town where she met the writer Elizabeth Gaskell, whom she befriended. Rule's family, however, disapproved of their friendship, as Gaskell was older than Jane and had once been married. Despite this, the 2 women remained close throughout their lives, and Gaskell would later write a biography of Rule after her death. In 1824, Rule's father died and her family's financial situation became precarious. She and her mother then moved to a small cottage in the village of Heald Place, where Rule spent much of her time in nature, which would later become a prominent theme in her writing. During this period, she also developed a close relationship with the artist Anne Wharton, who became one of her muses. Rule's first novel, The Wild Man of the Winter Woodlands, was published anonymously in 1834 while she was living in relative obscurity. The book was well received by critics, who praised its originality and Rule's ability to capture the beauty of the natural world. However, she continued to publish her work anonymously for fear of scandal, as the novelist's dedication page contained a tribute to her friend Anne Wharton. Throughout the 1830s and 40s, Rule published 4 more novels, including The Girl from the North Country, which was dedicated to Gaskell. Despite the critical acclaim, financial struggles continued to plague her, and she was forced to move from her beloved Healer to a small apartment in Manchester. It was during this time that she met the philosopher and feminist Barbara Budd, with whom she formed a deep intellectual and romantic connection. The 2 women collaborated on several projects, including a translation of the works of German poet Friedrich Schiller. However, their relationship caused a scandal, and Baudekyn was shunned by many members of Manchester's intellectual elites. Undeterred, Rule and Baudekyn moved to London in 1859 and began publishing their work under the names J, R and B, respectively. In addition to her novels, Rule also published 2 volumes of poetry, A Song and Other Poems in 1841, and the 2nd and 7th books of the 1st and 2nd Nithiadas of the Greek anthology, as well as other poems in 1853. Her poetry often explores themes of love, death, and the natural world, and is notable for its lyricism and use of symbolism. Despite her literary success, Rule's personal life continued to be a source of scandal and controversy. Her relationship with Baudekyn, as well as her close friendship with Elizabeth Gaskell and Anne Wharton, caused her to be labeled a lesbian and a threat to the morals of society. As a result, she was often excluded from literary circles, and her work was ignored or dismissed by critics. Jane Rule died in 1859 at the age of 59. At the time of her death, she was working on a novel that was never finished and had just learned that her friend Elizabeth Gaskell had died. Despite her relatively short career, Rule's work left a lasting impact on English literature. Her novels are celebrated for their originality and vivid portrayal of the natural world, and her poetry continues to be studied and analyzed by scholars, although she was largely forgotten during the 20th century. Rule's work has seen a resurgence in recent years, with several of her novels being re-released and adapted for film and television. Thank you for joining us today as we explored the life and work of one of England's most fascinating writers. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, please subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd also love to hear from you in the comments below. What are your thoughts on Rule's work? And which of her quotes is your favorite? Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the world of words.